What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, Sia?
Today we're back with another American reaction.
You know it.
Super excited about this video. If you're new to us
And we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Hey everybody, so you know what today? That's for the terrible puns from last episode.
And that guy,
Bob Saget! Bob Saget! Bob Saget!
That's a big dude.
Anyway.
Yeah, go check on our boy. We've been reacting to him for a while. Go check on him, man. He be getting a lot of blows.
He always get hit.
I'm saying. Bob Saget.
It's time to learn geography now!
Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbs. Most people only know one thing about Madagascar, lemurs. But if you dig deep, you'll discover a country with one of the most unique demographical anomalies on the planet, the people. The people here are like the real treasure. Oh, so you're saying lemurs aren't as important as humans? That's speciesist!
They be coming. That's real life how they. Bro, that's real life how I get.
Yes.
I don't know what in the dictionary they be making these words or piecing it together, but when they come up with it and they hit the internet, you all of a sudden got a movement.
Child, there's a word for everything now.
Got poster boys and everything. No more speciesness.
Native geography Lalina wrote a cool quote in an email saying, Madagascar is shaped like the left footprint of the gods. And when you observe this nation, you'll definitely see the divine residue. First of all, Madagascar is an island nation and the fourth largest island in the world, located just off the coast of eastern Africa near Mozambique. The country is divided into 22 regions with the capital Antananarivo, sometimes called Tana for short, located in the Anlamaga region near the center of the country. After the capital, the largest cities are Toamasina in the east coast and Antirabe in the center. Although the country has about 70 domestic airports and airstrips, mostly for transporting supplies to the outskirt villages, the largest and only international airport is Ivato International in Antananarivo. Transport in Madagascar is quite good, as the 6, 4, and 7 highways connect the country north to south. Unfortunately, only about 10% of their roadways are paved, and many are affected by rain and cyclones. It can take about 6 hours just to drive 60 miles simply because of the road work. Otherwise, with a coastline of over 3,000 miles, they are loaded with harbors and ports for shipping. The largest one, of course, being Toamasina, where most of the imports come in from the east. It also transports about 75% of their imports and exports.
Wasn't there also like that Libertalia thing where the pirates came in to hide out and made like this weird utopian society in the 1600s?
That's why I hired you as my research assistant. Say hi to Kai. He's the new research guy. The country has only 2 main railways, one mostly for cargo between Toamasina and Antananarivo, and the southern route, the Fianarantsoa-Mankara line, which carries passengers between the 2 towns that are not accessible by road. Sorry if this stuff seems kind of really boring and technical. It's just I like showing the inner workings of a country's infrastructure and how it operates. It's like opening up a pocket watch and explaining how all the gears and buttons make the whole thing function.
Pocket watch? What are you, 90 years old?
When I look at...
Bro, at the end of the day, it's like when you go to a certain location, the highway is like the main thing that you need to know how to get from A to B, because it's going to take you straight to where you want to get. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's important, though.
That's very important.
You Gen Z kids, sometimes I question if I actually am. The country has dozens of smaller islands and islets around the coast, mostly on the west side. Places like Nosy Bay, the largest and busiest resort in the country.
Wasn't there a crazy news story about that place in which an angry mob went up to some French tourists and...
Yeah, but we gotta keep this channel monetized. Otherwise, just like we mentioned in the Comoros episode, they have a few disputes over ownership of certain islands in the region. All these islands, though, are administered by France. Otherwise, some top notable sites of interest might include places like Pirate Cemetery of Saint Myrie, the Ambohimanga Gate, the Monument aux Morts, the Croc Farm, the Rova Antananarivo, Fort Mana, Antirabe Cathedral, the Windsor Castle of Madagascar, Independence Avenue, the Botanical Gardens of Simbazaza, whale watching at Ifati Village, the Savika Bullfighting Ring, and the Gemstone Marketplace of Ilakaka. Alright, that was fun, and just like Bob Saget's career, it's time to move on to weirder and stranger territories. Yeah, see, I'm still keeping the gag running.
Oh, good for you, Paul. That's amazing.
Ken, I swear. In Madagascar, it's like grandma's kitchen. Everything is homemade with an original recipe. And this. First of all, Madagascar is made up of 4 main landscape zones: the wetter east coast, the drier savanna west coast, the really dry southwest coast, and the central highlands known as the Tsaratanana Massif, where you can find the tallest peak, Maramokotro, further up north. It even snows on the peak sometimes. These mountains also provide the source of all the major rivers, including the longest, the Mangoki. However, the Ikopa is probably the most important one, as it flows through Antananarivo, known for its distinct red color caused by river sediments. Not too far off, you can find Lake Alautra, the largest lake in the country. Alright, now that that's out of the way, if you've watched any kind of documentary or show or incredibly accurate cartoon depiction of Madagascar, I'm sure you're fully aware of how unique and distinct the country is when it comes to nature. Due to the geographic isolation, somewhere around 80 to 90% of the flora and fauna can only be found here and nowhere else. Not only that, but even though Madagascar is only like the 48th largest country in land area, it makes up about 5% of the world's entire known biodiversity. Some have even gone so far as to label it the 8th continent.
Yo, check out the new kid.
Hey, you can sit here with us.
Cool, thanks. What's your stories?
Well, I have the most mammals.
And I got the most birds.
And I have the most diverse species in general.
Cool. Yeah, well, I got spiky rodents, owls with ears, hissing cockroaches, red frogs, leaf geckos, and crackhead monkey things with one long finger.
I never
And
seen
I got
a
the
leaf
most
gecko
birds.
before.
And I have the most diverse species in general.
Cool. Yeah, well, I got spiky rodents, owls with ears, hissing cockroaches, red frogs, leaf geckos.
That looks familiar. That looks like
Is that a leaf or a gecko?
it's a gecko, but
Bro, that's
that looks like it was on one of those cartoons the children be watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask them if they heard about this one because all kids be knowing about all this type of
Baby.
stuff.
They got a
ain't never
PhD
seen- This is crazy.
in that.
Real talk, literally.
And crackhead monkey things with one long finger.
Yeah, I remember
This
that.
guy is
being-
freaky. I like it.
Yeah, they got some interesting stuff going on. On top of that, we cannot make an episode on Madagascar
Zoobophone.
without talking about the most iconic national animal endemic to the island, the lemur, which comes in over 100 different species, my favorite being the ringtail. On top of that, Madagascar's land in itself is pocketed with outstanding wonders like the Singi de Bemahara stone forest, made out of needle-shaped
forest.
eroded limestone cliffs, the Avenue of the Baobabs
See
with
that?
incredibly thick trees only found here. Whoa! Madagascar is also the largest producer of vanilla in the world, providing around 60 to 75% of the world's supply.
Thank you, Madagascar.
Minerals and sapphires are mined a lot here. You'll find the distinct zebu cattle all over, known for their fatty shoulder humps. They provide
that's
great
in-
meat and milk, which brings
Yeah,
us
we had
to
a-
food.
Some
Some of the top notable dishes of the
part.
country might include
Yeah,
things
I
like
remember us talking about this one. We couldn't put the name to it, but the zebu cattle. I think that's what
Maybe
it's called.
the Gambia or in Senegal, somewhere. I
Yeah,
forgot where it's
and it was
at.
weird too, because theirs is like pretty huge.
Yeah, we was like, what is that? We've never seen that before.
Ravim bomanga, patsamena, kakapizon, akohosi voanio, sesika, and the national dish, ramazana. Now keep in mind, just like we studied in the Lao episode, a lot of these dishes might include a touch of leftover French influence, and baguettes are everywhere. In fact, French is an official language. What? Yeah, we'll explain that in... Now, if you thought the landscape and animals were interesting, wait till you hear about the backstory behind the people of Madagascar. That's where the story gets real good. A person from Madagascar is called malagasy, not Madagascan,
Oh, that's
not
right.
Madagascarian,
Malagasy.
not Elon Musk, who is mad at
That was close.
Gaskarian. Yeah, that joke. Malagasy. Got it? First of all, the country is made up of about 25 million people and has the westernmost Austronesian people group in the world. About 95% of the country identifies under the broader Malagasy title, which is subdivided into about 20 different ethnic groups, the largest being the Merina, the Betsimi Sakara, and the Betsileo. The remaining percent is made up of other groups, mostly Europeans in French origin, East Africans, Chinese, and Indians. They use the Malagasy Ariari as their currency. They use the types C, D, E, J, and K outlets, which can all pretty much accommodate the same two-prong format most Europeans use. That type E, though, is weird because it has like a socket that has its own prong that goes into the plug, and they drive on the right side of the road. Now, what exactly is a Malagasy person? You would think, well, they're in Africa, so they're just Africans, right? You know, black. Done. But hold on, there's a little more to that. There's a twist, and it has to do with Austronesians. Yo, Ken.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a triple shot of espresso. You're like half Filipino. These guys are technically like your cousins. You explain this part.
Are you sure?
Yeah, don't question my tactics in running this show. Just do it.
I mean, doesn't Noah usually do the... Do it or I'm fired, right?
Ken, do it, Ken, or you're fired. Ken, I swear.
Madagascar is actually a relatively newly inhabited island. Although evidence of human foraging goes back to about 2000 BC, the earliest settlements occurred only about 380, and they were actually by Austronesian people from the Southeast Asian islands. Over time, Bantu people moved across the Mozambique Channel and mixed in with Austronesian settlers, creating a whole new race known as the Malagasy. This means that the average Malagasy person, to a varying degree, has a genetic haploid structure derived from both sub-Saharan African and Southeast Asian people. This is why Malagasy people look different from mainland Africans and can come with a variety of skin tones. Sometimes when meeting the locals, you might feel like you're more in a Polynesian or Southeast Asian country rather than Africa.
Whew. Was that good?
Ken, you dyed your hair green? Ken, I swear. Anyway, the Malagasy language is one key factor that sets Madagascar apart too, as it's related to other languages in the Nusantara region of Southeast Asia. Side note, that word I just said, Nusantara, is the term used for the entire archipelago of islands in Southeast Asia. And the craziest thing is, the closest language to Malagasy is actually the Maayan language spoken in Borneo, not a native African one. You can find other similar words in other Austronesian languages, like the word for island, Nosi, versus Javanese, Nusa, or Malay-related words like Riana versus Riam. On top of that, as a former French colony, French is an official language, mostly spoken by the government and educated officials, although only about a quarter of the population are fluent. Still, you see French signs everywhere. Culture-wise, as mentioned, there are 18 tribes, each with their own distinct customs. For example, the Betsileo are known for their Famadihana dead celebrations and Zebu rodeos. The Betsimi Sakara are known for being like the best fishers. The Sakalava are the non-Malagasy Bantu-derived tribe, and they have their trance ceremonies that talk to their ancestors. The Antandroi are like the ones that live near the spiny forest and are famous for their drums, spears, and flutes. The Bara are famous for their cattle herding and hair braids. The Antafasi are the desert, sand people, and so on. About half of the country is Christian, whereas the other half adhere to indigenous folk religions, sometimes synchronized with Christianity, making Madagascar one of the highest percentages of populations that practice traditional beliefs. Speaking of which, it's time to talk about history. And the quickest way I can put it, foragers come in, but maybe die out or disappear. Austronesians sail in, then the Bantus come in, then the Arabs, the Portuguese, many small kingdoms. This dude decided to unify it. English and French missionaries, deportation of the Queen, colonization of the island in 1896, independence 1960, 1972 university strike that resulted in the end of the First Republic. This guy becomes president and kind of stays that way. Protests, modern era, and here we are today. Some notable people of Malagasy descent or who came from Madagascar might include Jean-Joseph Raberavello, Daguerre, these soccer players, Raymond Ranjeva, Samuela, Nini Donaya, Olombolona Ricky, Viavichila, Nirina Zubir, Albert Kwan, Lego, Mahaleo, this former president, Michel Rakoston, Lolo Sini Tarini, and these traditional singers. Alright, time to move on to the last segment.
Alright. So, friends and best friends and enemies.
Take it away, see?
I would say Mozambique,
Okay. Okay.
France are their friends or close people. I feel like Madagascar is one of those countries where they wouldn't have a lot of enemies.
You gotta think about it though. I think you say 7 airports.
Mm-hmm.
So, and most of them are used for imports.
Right.
So they're traveling really far.
7 airports?
I think you said 7.
I don't remember that.
They are. Fact check me. I heard 7.
Okay. So what you think?
Somewhere up there. And around the corner. And
I'm gonna stick with Mozambique and France.
I think they said,
Madagascar,
I think they're in their stumping grounds, so not too far, you know what I'm saying? I don't think they're going in too many people's like backyards to get things.
Somewhere in Asia.
But I think there's somewhere like, I think the realm of it right here. So far.
Okay.
Y'all could just picture what's in that realm.
All right. Well, that's what I have so far.
Not bad. We're gonna see.
Now, being a country that was raised from distant settlers mixing in, Madagascar has always kind of understood what diplomacy was all about. As a member of La Francophonie, they get along pretty well with other French-speaking countries, including their smaller island neighbors, Comoros, Mauritius, and the overseas territories of Mayotte and Reunion. Canada has been a huge investor, though, for decades, especially in mineral mining. As a part of the SADC, they get along with South Africa and other nations in the area, especially for trade and business. Many people even have family members in Mozambique. China today is the largest trade partner, though, with sales reaching about 765 million. Historically, relations with the USA go back to the 19th century and were relatively close, except for that one period in time during the 70s when they closed ties because they favored the USSR, but relations picked up back again in the 90s. However, a lot of Malagasy people I've talked to have said France would probably be their best friend. Yes, there were the colonial years, but their history and interaction is so closely intertwined with a relationship that is better than ever today. France is the second largest trade and business provider. They're the largest export receiver, as well as foreign aid donator. They provide the largest number of European tourists, and overall, the two countries are very strongly linked. In conclusion, there is no place like Madagascar with things in it found nowhere else. With a unique people and makeup, it's no wonder why they call themselves the 8th continent. Stay tuned, Malawi is coming up next.
So usually I feel like when there's usually a lot of relation with the language and I guess like who do the most imports, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature, that's who's they're going to rock with the most, like with their best friends or whatnot. Cause it just makes sense, you know what I'm saying? You got people that lives there as well that's mainly from France or Madagascar is like just to just use those two, like the relation is very strong.
like the past history. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking that they would have some relations with someone. I mean, not someone. One country at least in Asia because
Okay.
of the people, you know. But I guess not.
And then South Africa is like right there.
Yeah.
So I kind
of
see
course,
that
South
coming.
Africa is the big brother to everybody.
Facts, yeah.
A
yeah,
big
yeah.
sister.
Ah.
One of them.
They twinning.
Yeah, so we have done some content on the Malagasy people. So it was really interesting hearing about them. Go check out that video as well.
Yes.
So we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request form is in our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.